I'm the unsilent majority, big mouth.
Well, the federal budget, of course, one of the linchpins was $17.7 billion in aged care investment in response to the Aged Care Royal Commission. One parliamentarian that has had a major focus on aged care for her entire career is our regular contributor, Sen Fierravanti-Wells, New South Wales Liberal Senator, and joins us now. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Stephen.
Now, as I said, aged care has been a passion of yours for quite some time. Even before you entered Parliament, you had a lot to do with the aged care facility. A lot of money here, but there are concerns from some people that there's not enough structural change that goes with the investment.
Well, I think, Stephen, that's it in a nutshell. There are two components here of the response. There's the government's response to the 148 recommendations of the Royal Commission and the extra funding over 5 years. Now, effectively, the decision that the government has made is to further entrench what is a government-driven aged care system, and that doesn't surprise me because regrettably, I think, as some have said, the government hasn't demonstrated, I think, the necessary political fortitude to embrace the structural reform that has been the call of the sector over a long period of time. And I think basically the government has chosen to use the excuse that the commissioners differed in their view. And what we're seeing is effectively it's the same structures which have been rebadged with enhanced responsibilities, but with the stewardship of the system and all its components remaining within government control. So, as Commissioner Pagoni effectively said, after 20 inquiries over 20 years that made similar findings and offered similar recommendations like the Royal Commission did, and governments have failed to tackle underlying problems. It's little point in repeating the same processes and asking the same department that has overseen the current failings to build and run a new system, because if you keep doing the same things over and over again, you can't expect different results. And so that's what we'll probably see. The same old players no doubt will shuffle from one advisory structure to another, and we'll see the same old, same old.
We obviously will see some change, and one of the positives and the response from the aged care sector has been overwhelmingly positive towards this part, and that's $6.5 billion for an extra 80,000 home care packages by June 2023. The concern there is that has to be recurrent funding almost to actually, it might alleviate the backlog that exists at the moment, but those requirement for those places is going to continue to grow.
Well, Stephen, certainly 80,000 additional packages will dent the waiting list. But let's not forget the concerns that have been, and this has been my concern about packages over a long period of time. The Royal Commission found that between a quarter and a third of the packages were used up in administration and care management fees. And so my biggest criticism of the package system is that the exploitation must be rectified and the home care sector needs major overhaul and reform. Now, there is reference to a new home support program, but in my view, the response falls short of the recommendation of the needs-based, demand-driven access that is going to be necessary to meet the full demand of a system and a growing, let's not forget, baby boomer generation that will predominantly want to continue to stay at home, and therefore I think that system is not going to come in place for quite some time. And in fact, that's one of the issues here. Whilst there have been lots of recommendations, and recommendations have been accepted, there's little detail on how that's going to achieve, and most of the changes will be underpinned by a new Aged Care Act, which is not intended to commence before 1 July 2023, and then subject to parliamentary processes. So the implementation of much of the detail is being left to this process rather than meeting the immediacy that the sector needs today.
Yeah, well, and that's, I guess, as they say, the devil is in the detail. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg has said that this budget adheres to traditional Liberal principles, where a lot of Conservative commentators are suggesting that this was overall a Labor budget or a Labor-style budget. What's your view of the overall budget?
Well, Stephen, we have faced challenges, and we had to balance between saving lives and livelihoods, and I think that certainly some spending measures were necessary. But having been around in politics for a long time, I am very concerned about the money that has been spent, and of course we are burdening generations to come with a debt that needs to be repaid, and I know that there is a lot of disquiet. Certainly disquiet has been expressed to me in relation to the money that is being spent and how it's going to indebt generations to come.
$1 trillion, it certainly is a scary figure. Connie, good to talk to you. We'll catch up again next week.
Thanks a lot, Stephen.
Senator Sen Fierravanti-Wells, New South Wales Liberal Senator.